Another day, another project. Welcome back to Antics Garage, powered by HP Performance. We got an interesting one. Something that I've never done before, and I've been doing this quite a bit of time. Got to replace the plastic lenses. These things are just gone south for the winter and never came back. Got to do some maintenances to it, but most of all, the customer's like, dude, I turn the headlights on at night. I cannot see. Look at that one. Holy criminies. Well, stay tuned, and we're gonna set up and take this apart. Got it racked up, got it near so we can work on it. Now we gotta tape off where the front bumper meets the front fenders so that way when we're taking it off and putting it back on, we don't have any interference issues. Also have to do it right here underneath the hood and where the front nose cone is. That way we don't have any issues there. You don't want any paint rubbing, no chips, no nothing like that. Do around by the headlights, it's just precautionary. Then we gotta take the parking lights off. We gotta disconnect the fog lights, take the lower pockets off, and take the forward inner fender lining clips out. Once we do all that, we can pull the front bumper cover off and gain access to the headlights. Unbolt those, pull them out, and then we're gonna go over to the bench and see about starting to take this thing apart. Now we move on to the next step of the fun stuff. Little clip there, two more clips there. Those are attached to the lower portion of the front bumper cover. Then you come down under here, you got a couple screws, one there, one there, one there. Those are either 9/32 or 7 mil. You got a 10 mil that you got to take off there. Got to take these lower plastic covers out of the way. Drop those down and out. You got one that's hiding up in here. Make sure you take that out of both sides. Drop this other cover down. Then you can get up there and change the light socket, unplug the light sockets. Take the fog lights, unplug those. And then you're moving on to taking the 4 bolts underneath the hood and dropping the front nose cover. One thing I do need to add, after you get all those bolts out, those screws out, get those plastic covers out, there are two 10mm bolts over here in this corner. They go on 2 studs right here. This stud here, this stud here. That holds the edge of the bumper up. And then if they did it right, inside here, you see a little hole right there, and you see a little hole right there. Those little holes are plastic clips that hold the air dam up front inside the bumper. A lot of times guys don't put them back in. Whoever worked on this last put them in. So we had to take those out. Obviously you can see the front nose is off. Now we're gonna go in and take the 3 10mm bolts off the bottom side of the headlight because it's already unplugged. Put it on the bench, and then we're gonna start tearing it apart and seeing what we gotta do to get that lens off of that casing. Now we got the headlights out of the car. Now we're not moving on to the next process. This one's a little intricate, takes a little bit of time. You gotta have a little bit of patience. Don't just go at it and start prying at it, but right here you've got what they call speed clips. You gotta take these off, pop them up. Not too bad to get up. You just gotta play with them a little bit. I like to use a little mini pry bar. It helps get these little tabs off. So what you're trying to achieve is getting this rubber ring off. It's kind of like a safety ring or a filler ring for when it's in the car. Once you get those off, you have 3 3/8 nuts here. And what happens is on the inside of this light, the color portion of the light is part of the lens. It's screwed onto the lens, and then this fits together as an assembly. Reason why we are changing these lights, obviously you can't see anything out of these things at all. We are putting the new lenses on. You can get aftermarket lights, but they don't come color matched to the car. So even if you get aftermarket used ones, you're still gonna have to take them apart if you want that color on the inside. So that's why we're doing this. Customer absolutely refuses. I want color matched headlights. I do not want aftermarket headlights on it. So that's what we're doing. Also, just a little, information. Obviously, everybody's got cars out there. Everybody doesn't, what headlight bulb does it take? Well, if you look right here, it says it takes a DS1, and right here says an H9. Now, if I grab the new lens, and you can read it easier, H9 D1S. Now, what that means is on the lens, it's actually telling you what bulb you have in your car. A lot of cars, when you look at the headlight capsule and you're like, hey, what bulb does it need? Go look at the bottom of it. They'll tell you that the H9 goes for your high beam, and the D1S, which is a halogen bulb, goes for your normal driving light. All right, now we got that little plastic ring off, got that out of the way, got our tabs off. Now you got to get a heat gun, and these little tabs right here, they're hard plastic. Obviously, this thing's 20-some years old. You don't want to break it. You're not going to find the headlight capsule. So what you do is take the heat gun, you heat up those tabs just a little bit, and take a screwdriver or a pick or something like that. Just get them soft, just enough to come under here just to get over this clear tab. Because we got to use the heat gun anyways to heat up this silicone and this base so we can start taking and lifting this clear lens off of here. Then comes the fun part. Once you get your lens off, you got to worry about the bolts on the bottom. Most of the time they're locked in place and they don't want to work. So that's an inverted Torx and a 3/8 ratchet or a wrench. If they're locked in there, just kind of gently walk them out. Once you get the lid to come off, you'll get them to unscrew from the inside, or the blue will show you that. And then once you got it apart, there's a couple other things we got to take apart to disassemble that color panel off of the clear lens. And then the fun part comes in where you got to get all this silicone out of here.
This is what it looks like once they're separated. You can see the color matched piece comes with the lens. Now begins the very arduous process of picking out all of this old adhesive. You should have a nice clean channel once you're done with all this. Yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. So gotta go around your entire light. You want to have a good seal on this when you put this lens back on when you use your new adhesive. So just make sure, take your time. You might need to use some heat. Get yourself a little cutter, a little pick. Just start picking all the way around this until you've got it all out.
Better grab a beer. You're going to be there a long while. Maybe, you know what? Make you two. Put one outside. If it's cold, let it sit outside. It'll be ready for you when you're ready for a second one.
2 hours later.
Well, after many hours of scraping, gouging, I think Jack stabbed his hand about a half a dozen times. Yeah. I kind of kept my hands out of the way, but fingers started to hurt. As you can see here, we have a pile of silicone carnage. Bench is a mess, floor's a mess. Got everything carved out now.
And this is what you're going for. You got to take your time, but you want to make sure you get every bit of this out of there so that you can get a good seal with that new silicone. It's time consuming, but just take your time and make sure you get it all the way out, all the way around.
You'll definitely have some achy fingers when you're done. This is what I was talking about with that lens. You have 4 screws up here at the top that hold the painted section into the clear lens. And when we flip this over, here's the 3 studs that we were talking about. Those 3 studs go inside here. This will firm up the bottom side of this lensing assembly. And then when you put the top on, obviously, you got clips that hold it on these little clips here. We don't go based off of just that. We do the silicone on it. I use Right Stuff. You can use whatever you want, but I use the Right Stuff, the silicone. It's almost like a Chrysler GM silicone. Very durable stuff. Holds up the temperature really well, but it's instant use. So as soon as we put it on there, put this on there, put a good helping of it, it squeezes up the sides, make sure we got a perfectly good seal on it, and then we put tape on it. Let it sit for a couple of days before we put the assemblies back in, make sure it's nice and sealed up. Now is where you got to finesse it when you put it back in. You got to make sure you line these studs up inside these holes, and you got caulk down. So make sure you don't make a mess, because if you put it on there and go to pull it off, it's gonna get globules everywhere. Oh, like a glove. Yeah, we had stated 1 or 2 beers. Start out with a beer, and by the time you get to your second beer, yeah, no, it took us a lot longer than that. I think we had to restock that ledge a couple times. When you tighten these things down too, you don't want to crank them to the point where they pop. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, how tight do you go? You go until it stops. Then you crank it as hard as you can, and then when it cracks back off a quarter turn. No, just kidding. Just go until it's snug. And then once you get snug, you know, it's not super tight. You're playing with plastic. Right there is where it stopped. Using my finger, it stopped. Then I go probably 1/8 of a turn from there. And that's it. That's nothing super crazy. Like I said, there again, you're playing with metal studs that are inside plastic inserts. That plastic insert is screwed into this clear lens. You don't want to break the clear lens. You don't want to break the plastic insert. Obviously, it's painted to match the car. So just go, you know, like I said, just snug them down. And once you do, just go, you know, about 1/8 of a turn or so. That tightens them down. So now we've got the bottom in place. And now what we'll do is we'll take the heat gun, start going around, heat up our tabs, pull these back over, and then we'll cinch all this down with blue painter's tape, because obviously you got a new lens, you don't want to put any marring on it. So you put blue painter's tape on it and try to bring that case together. Then set it aside for a day or two. It's going to take you about that long to get your fingers, the feeling back in your fingers from scraping all this stuff out. But in the end result, when it's done, it looks really nice. All right, we got it all back together again. Got the plastic tabs like we were showing you before that we heated up. We got all those bent back over off the new lenses. The top, we've got it sandwiched down. It's kind of bubbling up. It was kind of flexing a little bit. So we're trying to get it to conform to its new shape, basically, and sealment. And then we put the tape on there just as an added tension on it. We'll give it a couple days, work on a couple other projects and do some other stuff. And then we'll come back in a couple days and take the tape off, get it back in the car.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting, though, just if you just grab a lens. I mean, you know, that's what was on there. So these factory lights are, I think, very much rejuvenated, right, Bill?
Oh, yeah. Well, I told Jack we probably could have sanded them down and put some clear over them, but I don't think they would have turned out like this.
I think you would have spent more time sanding on these with so many different grits and polishes and everything. It just makes sense to put a new lens on.
Well, just like that, it's back together. Look, you can see again. And it looks really, really, really nice. Wouldn't even tell that them lenses have been changed. Man, does it make the front end of this car just pop. Look, you can even see the glare from the lights and the top of the lenses. Man, gotta love a nice update on lights. Definitely gonna see. It's gonna be like, did you put halogens in there? Nope. They come with halogens. Now they actually work.
So that's it, everyone. That's replacing the lenses in a C6 Corvette. Easily, if you look at this car, I think with this modification, we've taken 10 years off the front end of this car, and we get to save these beautiful factory headlights, which in my opinion are the best looking lights for the C6. I'm not really crazy about the C7 or the C8 looking ones, but these, they fit the car so well. And now it's got a whole new lease on life. That's going to do it for us here at Nathan's Garage, guys. If you liked the video, please leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription. Thank you so much for watching. It means so much to us. And we're over 500 subscribers now, so let's keep that number going up. But anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you next time.